We're as prepared as ever. Okay, welcome everyone to Bald&Balding. This is a book and a beverage, and we are blessed to have the Twitter and Discord celebrity Joe JCM Berne with us today.
Yay!
We'll try not to be, overwhelmed with his presence.
I don't know why I'm a celebrity. I certainly don't think of myself as one, but
you start
thank
Twitter
you very
fights, or you get involved in Twitter fights at least.
I was involved in a couple in the last month that was not intentional, but apparently I become addicted to drama or something.
Drama on social media?
Yeah, Twitter, book drama. Book drama. I got in the middle of a nice little storm. But I don't usually try to start them. No, actually, that's a lie. I do try to start them, but usually when I try to start them, people can usually tell it's a joke. Usually.
What kind of book drama could there possibly be?
Oh my god!
You have to get on Twitter, Ro.
No, No, I'm not. Give me an example.
So someone will say something like make a statement, and usually I think they're serious about something about the book world. So someone might say something like or someone will do something bad. What were the big dramas recently? Someone accused another person of stealing her idea because she had in her book that this other person had like beta read or been in a workshop for people who use like sun-based magic, and this other person was publishing a book with the same. And then,
oh my god, never heard of that before.
Right, that's the joke, right? Like, first of all, you can't copyright an idea, first of all. Then like it's wrong in so many ways you'll be hearing, but it wasn't a letter like, you stole my idea. It was a letter like, you'll be hearing from my lawyers, right? That's a different thing. And it's like, okay, I don't know what they're going to tell me, but I'll listen. Copywriting the Sun, yeah. So that was a good little piece of drama. And then whatever her name was, Kate, the woman who, she had a book deal, and she went on Goodreads and created a bunch of false accounts on Goodreads, and one star bombed many other debuting authors who were releasing around the time of her release. I think especially people of color.
That's regardless of anything else.
Right. So it's like, you're a garbage person for doing that. And let's throw in some racism as like the cherry on top, I guess.
Right. Just in case we weren't sure that you were a garbage person and maybe giving you the benefit of the doubt, now we can just go full on trash.
Yeah. But the fun ones are like if someone makes like a really strong statement about content, like, oh, we all know never mix science fiction, never mix technology, advanced technology and magic, period. And just tweet that out there, and I guarantee. Well, I don't guarantee. I can't guarantee, but decent chance if it came from someone popular, it would start a little war. So
yeah, I hate anybody who writes sci-fantasy. It's terrible.
Those bastards. And
the funny thing is, like, science fantasy isn't like a well-respected subgenre in the community, right? Like, you're not going to find a lot of people talking about it. Maybe it's an aside. It's at the last minute. People often speak out against it. But science fantasy is the two most popular intellectual properties in the world, because Star Wars and Marvel comics are science fantasy. You have Doctor Strange and Iron Man side by side fighting an alien. That is as science fantasy as you could ever get, right? And Star Wars,
the Hybrid Helix series.
Yeah. Well, that's what I read. Yeah.
So we just talked about this. We talked about this off camera.
I would just start, the Oxford comma debate or something. I don't think
I'm sure that would work. Usually when I do it, I think people can tell I'm kidding. Like I like saying things like long books are a huge waste of time. No book should be more than 400 pages. And usually people who see me write that will laugh because they know, I don't really think that. But
I'm under 400, by the way.
So you're just a shit stirrer then. Is that what you're saying?
Sometimes, on occasion. I didn't think of myself that way, and then I got on Twitter, and over the years I've become a little bit of a shit stirrer.
It's good to have hobbies.
I thought writing would apparently I wasn't losing enough writing. I had to find some other way to take some damage.
So Joe, we just talked about this off camera, but what in the wide world of sports is Grim Dwarf magazine? So
I had this idea for a serialized story, a fantasy story, kind of like I grew up on this stuff, like television shows where you'd have episodes connected and telling a longer story. Comic books do this, manga do this, or you had chapters, and sometimes they would So I wasn't sure how to publish it or how to release it. So I decided, let me make a little magazine, give it away for free. People can get it. They'll get the story from me. And whatever other stories, I have friends who have like reader magnets or novellas they're not like selling and they want to get out there. So I've been pitching for submissions and seeing what happens. Yeah.
So the hit to your self-esteem doing this isn't enough, that you have to.
I have a big ego. Trimming it down to size takes some serious clippers. It's I guess I needed another blow. I'm giving away this free magazine. I do not have 100 downloads yet of issue 1, so I guess that'll keep me humble for a while. But it's more just it was a fun thing to do. I never really said that. Oh, I'm going to get 10,000 subscribers. That never really occurred. Like that'd be great, but I don't really think that's going to happen. But I just thought like having a magazine, I get to call myself editor in chief. I have myself on there as editor because I am. Because what else would you call me?
Get some business cards made.
Yeah. Oh, I have. Oh, I don't have them here. I got business cards made for DragonCon. And I handed out like 4 of them. Didn't make any.
We were talking earlier about whether or not you went to conventions and stuff like that. And you said you hadn't, but you live next to a pretty sizable city. Oh, Kelly, no, you get out. You can't be late.
Oh, that is Bo.
That's unacceptable.
By using his last name. He goes by one name. He's that
well,
big.
we have a Joe and a Roe. I didn't want to get people confused by saying Bo. Anyway, you live next to a pretty good sized city. Where do you do most of your selling online, or do you find places around there that you can get your work out?
I have not really hand sold anything ever. So it's almost everything is mostly through Amazon. And then I've sold a few where people tweet me and say, we want signed copies, and there's no other way to do that. And I just mail them, and I'm really bad at it. It's not a good, I'm really like it'll sit on my queue for a month. I'm not particularly good at that side of things, but I've never tried going to a con or we have like farmers markets where people sell stuff. I could always try that, but I have not. I barely have time to do what I'm trying to do between writing and I've got a wife in one state, I've got kids in a different state. It's complicated.
I thought you were going to say you have a wife in one state, you have a wife in another state.
Oh my God, too. I don't have the energy, the time. It's like double the furniture to move.
Yeah, right.
That sounds exhausting. My wife is all I can handle, and not even. But no. But my kids from my first marriage are living in a different place. So right now I'm in Maryland because I'm visiting. I have custody of my son this week. But if you talked to me 2 days ago, I was in New York. That's home.
So, Joe, if you ever need another hit to your self-esteem, I highly recommend Comic-Con selling there. You can stand there for hours going, no, I'm not desperate at all. Someone will come talk to me. It's great for humbling people. Ro and I can attest to this.
Oh, you were at New York Comic-Con? Yeah.
We're both in Virginia, and we go to a number of Comic-Cons, and it's the same no matter what state I go to. It's a sorry state.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like self-flagellation. It's kind of crazy. How many books do you have?
I have 5 books out. 4 books on the hybrid helix, which are on the thumbnail, and then another book called Partial Function, which came out more recently. That's the Woman Fighting Dinosaurs book. I have 3 issues of my free e-zine are out, and I have like 3 reader magnets that are just available for free if anyone wants them. If you can catch the link, if you sign up for my newsletter, you know the deal.
Yeah.
Sign up for the newsletter. I send you a thing and says you can go and download, and you get 2 or 3 things. I just wrote a Christmas story. I don't actually know if I've hooked the Christmas story into the newsletter yet, but I should do that. But who has time for everything?
I need to go back to Women Fighting Dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, Partial Function.
What's that about?
Okay.
You're in for a treat, bro.
I wrote it a while ago, so let me see if I can remember the pitch.
How long have you been writing?
I have it's Britain. How long have I been writing? I wrote my first novel that I thought was publishable in 1999.
Okay. What about the first one you actually published?
2019.
Okay, so not
And 2019.
5-6 books out, right? All right. Okay, good.
5 books.
Dinosaurs, women fighting.
Yeah. All right. So I should pull up the blurb. Do I know the blurb? Okay. So Akina Azure. I'm gonna read this thing. All right. So the pitch is: If Taken starred Michelle Yeoh and was set on Cradle. Monster hunter Akina inherited the most powerful weapon in the martial world before retiring to a peaceful life raising twin girls. The Reaver has them kidnapped, thinking Akina will trade that weapon for their safe return. Will she? Or will she use it to wreak a terrible retribution on the men who took her girls? You get one guess. That's the
I
blurb.
like that. So how did dinosaurs come into that?
Oh, there are dinosaurs along the way.
Oh, okay.
The world, their world is, it's a fantasy story, and their world is basically infested with them. The bones of the dinosaurs are the currency and the building material they use. They don't have any mines. There's no metal. So if you want like armor, you got to make it out of bones. If you want like, good, dishware or whatever. So the dinosaurs is a constant stream of they're really undead zombie dinosaurs, but they're dinosaurs-ish. And they kind of march through, and people, you have to kill them because otherwise they get eaten by the dinosaurs, and then they use their carcasses for tools.
So long as you're using every part of the dinosaur, it's all good.
I have established, I don't know if it's canon, but they are not nutritious. They are not fun to eat. So they do not eat the dinosaur. They just let the meat rot. For reasons that I can't explain, because it's actually a huge spoiler for the whole universe.
Okay. All right.
Negro. I'm going to steal from Joe here, but his book 2 in the Hybrid Helix, there's 50-foot sharks with legs that come on shore and attack people.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to read this Hybrid Helix. I mean, it's phenomenal. You're like, everything that I liked as a child is now in this series. There's space bears. There are space bears in book 1. I mean, my goodness.
So I guess the question I really need to ask Joe, do you roll them or is it gummies?
I have asthma, so if I'm going to take anything, it's going to have to be via the gummy, because smoking irritates my lungs.
It's also, it makes it hard to keep your hands on the keyboard.
I was trying to figure out the right amount of whiskey to titrate to my writing speed. I always feel like the amount of drunk I need to be to write is not high, but it's not 0. So there's a certain amount of like slightly buzz where I think it like it lets go of the writer's block, your own inhibitions go away a little bit, and the stuff just comes out.
And speaking of that, that's a great segue. We do call this, what do we call this? Book and a Beverage. So what do you got?
This is
fancy schmancy Darth Vader
ginger ale in my Darth Vader mug, which says, I don't know if you can read it. You don't know the power of the dark side. Stupid ring light.
And you're drinking ginger ale in that.
I am. And a little bourbon.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
Okay.
Mike, you still on the Modelo?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I got 10 more of these.
You mentioned Killian's Red on an episode. That's an old favorite of mine.
That is my favorite, but I can only get it at Kroger, and it's like a 25-minute drive. So.
Yeah. I can't remember the last time I saw Killian's Red. We drank it in college.
What are you, like 80, Mike? I get 25-minute drive. I can't make it to the store. My God, somebody help me! I'm falling and I can't get up.
I feel like I've driven longer than 25 minutes for booze, but maybe not.
Well, there are many closer spots, so it's. Do I want to drive the extra time, or do I want to just get the Modelo Negro and go home?
Right.
You got to remember, I don't like people. That's why I write stories, so I don't have to actually interact with people. They're all in my head.
The podcasting ruins it, man.
What's it ruin?
It ruins Mike's claim to not like people when you're like on the show interviewing people
right.
deliberately.
But he can like click off anytime. And sometimes I think this is just a clever AI that Mike has constructed there. It's like, Statler and Waldorf on the Muppet Show. Mike's actually, I mean, he kind of looks like a Muppet.
I do. So,
I
Joe, I have to apologize to you. I went ahead and invested $6.79 in a male wig to put on Grommy here to look just like Rohan. And it came out looking like some animal pelt. So I took it to work because I can't style hair. So the girls at work did. They styled it. They put some oil on it, made it look great. And then I forgot to bring it home. So he's supposed to be wearing a wig. But, you know, I have the memory of a goldfish. So
that's more than understandable. Thank you.
You brought a wig to work.
Yes.
And asked two people from work to style a wig to go on your mannequin.
This is not even odd, Ro. This is not even odd for where I work.
I can just imagine the conversations they have at lunch.
Yeah.
What weird shit did Mike ask you to do today?
So last week when I was there, the Friday before New Year's, there were 3 of us in a building that used to have 150, now has between 30 and 50 on a normal day. We played Space Invaders on an 84-inch TV. 8K graphics, and we had an 8-bit Atari 2600. I played Space Invaders. They were this big, the Space Invaders.
Actually sounds kind of fun.
It was great. And we also played Frogger, and the new generation swore that it cheated and that they didn't actually hit the car. You know, never heard of that before. So a lot of constructive work was done.
So, Joe, we were talking before we started talking about your capacity to lose cash, and I think this is a capacity we all share to some extreme. But you seem to be really, really good at it, even though you sell a lot more books than I certainly do.
Wow.
So, for anybody who might be interested in the writing game or anything like that, how do you spend so much money? Because they're all very good reasons.
I get my covers are probably better than my covers are. It's a complicated, right? Like the covers are. I think the covers are beautiful. My artist is phenomenal. So you have to look at, so like, let's say just any amount, like $1,000 cover versus a $500 cover versus $2,000 cover, right? As from a business perspective, if that $2,000 cover causes you make enough extra sales to get you more than $2,000 extra, it was actually worth it.
Sure.
Right? And so where was I going with this? I'm sorry.
Business case.
So the level of sales I had, early on, I definitely was not a worthwhile investment. But then at this point, like, I can't even tell. And if like book 4, or so if I paid for book 4's cover this year, which I did, I released that book. It certainly hasn't paid for itself yet, but maybe if you amortize it over 3 years, maybe it'll turn it. So there's all kinds of decisions like that where you don't really know. If you never end up selling more than a few hundred copies of your books in your career, and you spend $2,000 on a cover, you lost money, right? Like any particular person. So it just depends on how you sort of look at it and frame the question.
But you're also you're hiring voiceover artists, right?
Yeah, I did. The audio is another one of those things. If you strike big in audio, you can make a lot of money, which is nice, right? It'll more than pay for itself. Supposedly, it helps to have like a trilogy you can package. You get a lot of hours for the Audible credit. That's appealing to the audio listener, who they take into account different things than visual readers, because of how Audible's set up with the credit system. And then I'm sorry. So the other thing about the audiobooks is you can get them to like a reviewer, and they listen to the audiobook. You can jump the lists. There are a lot of people who are audio only, especially the big readers, and a lot of the people who are big in the community. So audio may pay for itself over the long term, but who knows?
But I mean, you also have editing expenses and all that, and you do some advertising on Amazon, right? And then that's where those covers, I think, probably really pay off, is getting people to make that click on Amazon, because that's not a given, right?
It's hard, right? I remember I looked at a cover I got, and I was like trying to figure out, is this good or not? And then someone said, make sure you look at it really small. because you've blown up on your like huge monitor at home. It might look fantastic, but it's got to look good in that row on. That's all you care about. How good does it look in that row of the you may also like or people also bought? So
and thinking about that, having looked at your covers, they're detailed without being detailed, right? I mean, they're very clean and you can tell what's going on real easy, but there's not a lot of like real minute detail that's going to get lost when you shrink it down like that. That's a fantastic thing I hadn't really considered before.
Yeah, Chris is good. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he does Jim Butcher, as covers, which is how I got him, which was a terrible idea. I literally put the book off my shelf. Who did this? Oh, I wonder if he'll do a cover for me. And I messaged him, and that was it. That was my entire process.
Well, if that process works, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you look at it. It's also like if you think of this as a way to try to make money, or I want to retire, or I want to this would be my day job. That's like a mentality, and that's great. And I'm sure almost anyone I know who writes would love for that to happen.
Sure,
right? But like, if you think of it as a hobby, then I don't even need. Do I make money, or I could have used cheaper covers, and I might have had smaller losses. But then I'm like, or do I want to say, oh, I spent this much money on my hobby, and I've got these cool covers, and it looks better, and I sold a few extra copies. It's like it's like anything where you're going to lose. Like, what did a friend of mine made me feel so much better about my writing career. He said, some people own boats.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot more money all at once.
Yeah. I didn't spend on Amazon ads what it would cost to dock a boat near New York City.
What boat is an acronym for, right? Bust out another 1,000.
Yeah. Big hole in the water into which to throw your money. But it's also nice to have if you've written a book, to have that, because that's going to last longer than you, right? So it's going to be for some length of time after you're gone, your work is still going to be there for someone to go, oh yeah, hey, I knew this guy, or he was a relative of so-and-so.
Yeah, I was thinking about it today though, people talk about changing lives or impacting lives. If you write a book and someone enjoys it, it de-stresses them on a tough afternoon, or they learn something from it, or whatever, you've changed someone's life. My day job, I don't change lives, really. I'm writing software. It's going to get written by someone. If it wasn't me, no one would care. It's the work that has to get done. But
I mean, at my work, I do get people to style wigs for me. So,
no one has ever done that for me at any job. And I've worked at a lot of places. I can't swear I've asked in each of those places if someone would style a wig, but
that'd be an interesting conversation. I'd like to be a fly on the wall for that.
It's just a joke.
It's great. I took it. I was like, hey, I need your help with this. Let me take this thing out of the bag. And then, like I said, it looked like a pelt or something.
Sure. 3 motorcycles. And I'm sure you don't need them, right? To go to, yeah, absolutely.
3 motorcycles. Man, it's like people with bicycles, right? Because I know people who are really big into cycling. And they always say that the perfect amount of bicycles is N+1.
Right.
Because you're always like, oh, I don't have a cyclocross bike. Ooh, that's a real nice titanium frame or whatever the hell it is. And yeah, people have garages full of bicycles. It's crazy. It's like, oh, they're all for very different things. Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. That's the thing. If I didn't have a writing career, maybe I'd have like a Miata in the garage just for spring afternoons or something.
You're better off with a writing career.
Well.
A while ago, I had a saltwater aquarium, and I always tell people if they want it, I'm like, just light a $20 bill on fire every day for a month, and then just be happy that you only wasted $600 because the saltwater aquarium would have cost so much more.
Oh, geez.
And that's the beauty of having an artist do your thing, is you get to keep the original art, right?
I mean, it's digital. I have the copies.
Oh, it's digital? Okay.
No, it's all digital, yeah. I don't think he actually paints anything physical. But yeah. No, I can use the art for something else. I could put in a poster. I could put in bookmarks. I haven't done a lot of that, but it's nice. It's all good, I could spend a lot of money, but I got a lot of value out of it.
So you said you're married. What's the spousal unit think of this hobby of yours?
Oh, oh, it's a wound right to my heart.
Touched a nerve there. Sorry.
She gets it that I really enjoy it. But here's the thing: when we got married, I was not spending X number of hours per week or dollars per year on a writing career. I was just whatever. I don't have no idea what I was doing with those hours.
You're taking her out on dates and buying dinner and stuff
I don't
like
think
that.
I was necessarily doing more of that. I was doing probably a lot more Netflix.
Right.
You know,
Well, here's the hint. If she ever complains about it, go into like Ulta or Sephora, and I realize this is a broad brush kind of thing, and not all women are like this. But having gone into these places for Christmas for my wife and daughter, damn, you can go through some cash in a hurry there on like really tiny little things, right? So at least you have your books to show for it. So, by God, you've got something.
I've got something, yeah. No, it's good. Well, reading the comments, like, what is that person saying?
We have like 8 people. There were 9 people. My God, Mike, what'd you do? Well, somebody left because of you.
It's the Friday night thing.
So there are 5 books out, 4 books in the Hydra Helix.
Hybrid Helix.
How many books are coming out this year? More books. Because we need more books.
Yeah, at least one Hybrid Helix book will be out this year. I'm going to try to get the second one out this year, but I wouldn't bet money on it. And
Is
then
what you generally get is 1 to 2 a year?
I got 2 books last year. And then I just started before that. Like one, and then I got 2, and I'm trying to get the Grim Dwarf to keep rolling. I don't have 52 chapters written yet for this year.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of this, though, right? You don't have to.
I don't have to.
I don't have people are paying you, expecting a product every week, and you don't come up with something one week. It's like, something happened. You know?
Anita's in the house.
Oh, hi, Anita. Anita gave me the I think the best single compliment I ever got for Wistful Ascending on her in a video that came out, and I was glowing. I was like, oh, that's so nice. She said, I'm not quoting. Anita's on there. She's like, that's not what I said, but it's something like when she feels homesick, she can read my book. And I was like, oh.
Does she have dinosaurs where she lives?
She no, different book.
Different book. Okay, sorry.
Space Bears in the first book.
She's from India, and I make lots of cultural references. My main character is from the same part of India as well as Anita. So,
have you traveled there?
No.
Just do a lot of research.
A lot of movies. I don't know if I call it research. I mean, I'll watch a lot of movies. I mean, the main character is of Indian descent, raised in Canada. I've never been to Vancouver either, but I just wing it. I don't believe in research.
You call it research, and then it's a business expense.
That does sound nice. If my business had money, I'd have them send me to there are dinosaurs in India. Yes. If you watch the right movie.
So what's your year looking like this year then, Joe? What's your plan?
Oh, I have to start my next book, which I have to get. I have a very short period of time to write it and get it to my editor. That's how I make myself meet deadlines. I book a slot with an editor, and I give her the down payment for half the editing, and then if the book's not done, I lose my money. So
really,
that is motivation.
Yeah, right.
Wow. That is a good reason to find a different editor.
Well, that's
her rules. I'm not focusing on her.
Well, if I say you start my book on March 21st, and if it's like I'm about to March 21st, now you have dedicated this week to my stuff. My stuff's not ready. I don't know if she'd actually take the money or just have some kind of penalty. I don't know. I've never been late, so I haven't found out the real consequences.
I mean, that's a great way to force yourself to sit down and write something.
I don't know if it's great, but it works. It's worked for me. I got my last book out in record time.
If it works, great.
I have to go back. Joe, you're a writer and you've never been late producing your work.
I've only had like 2 deadlines. I've done this twice where I booked a slot with my editor and the book has to be done by then. I've never done it before. so I wouldn't know.
Ugh.
Joe Montana. I'll take that.
See, I don't know if I trust my editor if I did that or not.
He's very untrustworthy.
He very much is. He's right there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think you paid me for the last one yet. So who's complaining?
Oh shoot! I forgot all about that. And I will continue to forget all about that.
In the opposite direction here. I'm like,
I should leave the room.
Should have kept my mouth shut.
Jesus. I mean, you guys go ahead and talk. I'm going to look up some freaking bills here.
Story of my life. I should have kept my mouth shut.
How did you guys start working together?
Bad luck, I think. No, we met at a show. We were at a Comic-Con somewhere, and we started talking. And you get stuck next to people. You have to talk to them. And then at one other show we were at, I think it was out in Tidewater area, Virginia last year. It was like a 3-day show, and there's just a lot of dead time, right? Because you get there early to set up, so you're there for a couple hours, and then you have dead periods during the course of the con, especially on day 2 or whenever when they have the cosplay contest. The place just kind of becomes a ghost town for a couple hours. And we were just talking about, what can we do to make best use of this time, right? We have hours here that aren't being used for any real reason, right? So we started thinking, well, maybe we can go around and talk to people, right? We can throw a camera in front of them and just interview them a little bit. And so we started doing that. And eventually we just started doing the live versions of this instead, which is just a lot easier for us because there's no editing involved of everything. Okay. And it's a lot more fun, quite honestly.
So, Joe, I have to tell you, when we were talking about doing a YouTube channel, Ro was trying to convince me, and I'm like, I don't need another time set. I can't. I don't even know how to video edit. I don't know. And he goes, "Do you listen to me? I've been in media for 30 years. I'll edit the videos." And I'm like, wait.
Yeah. So now I don't even have to do that. So it's really kind of perfect.
That's funny.
Yeah. But this is great too. I mean, because now we get to meet other people, right? Sure. And it's not just a quick 5-minute whatever. We get to sit here and spend an hour with you or whatever.
Yeah.
And, we got 9 other people who hopefully find this is what they're here to see you. So I should be quiet and let you talk more. How many of these people who show up here? We got Anita and Daniel and Oki and Boak, and how many of these people do you recognize their names?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I know Anita. I know Daniel. I definitely know Britton. I've been on Britton's channel. I know Bo. I'm gonna scroll back. Books with Bake. I don't think I know. Bex, I definitely know. Bert, I know. Bo.
See, so I mean, how did you meet these folks? I'm assuming you all don't live in the same area.
I mean, when I say no, I mean I've never. There's only the only person on that list who I've actually been face to face with in real life is probably Bo Kelly, and that's because we both went to Dragon Con. Without which I definitely wouldn't have ever met him. I just mean online.
Yeah. Oh, I mean.
In 2022, I joined Spiffbo. I entered Spiffbo, right? The science fiction self-published fantasy blog off, Spiffbo. And I got on Twitter around the same time, and I started connecting with all the reviewers and stuff, and tweeting at them, or retweeting their stuff, following their tweets, and all they follow you back, and then I got onto a Discord where a bunch of people were, and then I started learning about BookTube.
So how many Twitter followers do you have right now, Joe?
Just over 2,000.
Holy shit! Really? Wow. So how many of those?
Wait, now I need to check. Wait, do I?
How many of those? See that I used to be on Twitter back pre-X, right? Pre-Elon, and I didn't use it that much. And I found that most of the people who I was following or who were following me, we all did the same thing, right? We were all kind of independent authors, whatever.
I don't think Twitter's a fantastic way to sell books.
What's that?
I don't think Twitter's a fantastic way to sell books, but it's a fantastic way to meet other authors and form communities of a knowledge base, but that doesn't sell you anything.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the key there is using it.
Yeah. Well, that's where that's what the big part of why writing is rewarding for me is this community that, sort of eked out of Twitter and Discord. As silly as that sounds, this is my social network now, to a large extent.
So, Joe, I have to tell you, I told the people at work, and they just were laughing at me again, which is normal. But you'd put out a tweet where you're like, "Hey, I was a quarterfinalist again in yet another book competition," and I was like. If you make it to the semifinals is the next step. And so dummy me, I'm like, hey, great job, Joe. Glad you were quarterfinal. And I was like, wait a second. I just said, thank God you were eliminated. And I told the people at work, and he's coming on your show?
He wants to call me names in person.
I don't want to say I don't hold grudges, but I like to think I hold few grudges. You never want to let people know I never hold grudges, right? That's the wrong. No. That was funny. I was a quarterfinalist in Spitfall the first year because that means everyone who entered is a quarterfinalist.
I was a quarterfinalist this year, so hey.
Okay, mazel tov.
I feel cheated now.
You never been a quarterfinalist?
I've never entered, but
then you've never been a quarterfinalist. We've been quarterfinalists.
But you're a quarterfinalist you're a quarterfinalist just for getting your name in quick enough.
The first cut makes it to the semifinals. So if you're in, you're in the quarterfinals.
They don't say that. You don't get a quarterfinalist.
Hold on.
So
congratulations, quarterfinalists.
We are one of 300 people selected to be in the quarterfinals. And by selected, I mean we self-selected.
Oh, you just have to get up a little earlier than the other 1,000 people who wanted to enter.
Right, exactly.
Oh, thank you, Anita. She's still alive in Spacefic. My poor wistful ascending. I entered her in Spacefic because if you get eliminated so early, no one's even had a chance to think about the book. They let you re-enter the next year.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm like, am I going to do it again? Do I have that to do to myself? I did. I re-entered it. So I could still theoretically win Spacefic, although I think my chances are low given some of the competition. But that's okay.
Yeah, there is a lot of really good stuff out there.
Yeah.
And it's, in walking around the Barnes and Noble and kind of poking through the stacks there, it's you kind of go, is this so much better than what's being produced by people who are, software engineers and everything else out there?
I have a question. Ro, you go into Barnes and Nobles. How old are you? Who goes into bookstores anymore?
I'm old enough to go into bookstores. They sell coffee there, man.
I mean, I go to Amazon bookstore right at home.
Yeah, that's no fun. They also, you get to go see what the new Lego sets and stuff are at Barnes and Noble.
That's true.
Get a snack from the.
Well, Britt goes to bookstores too, so maybe it's just me. It'd be a 25-minute drive for me, so that's why I don't go to bookstores.
What is it with you not being able to drive more than freaking 10 minutes?
No, but it's specifically 25 minutes each time. The beer is also 25 minutes. Is it the same 25 minutes? Can we combine these chores?
So I could, because I live out in the halfway in the boonies, so it's like 25 minutes the same direction every time.
Just combine them. It'll only be 12 and a half minutes away.
I don't think you're really familiar with what the boonies are. I've lived up by Fairbanks, Alaska, my friend. Let me tell you what the boonies are.
That's not habitable by people. I mean,
shouldn't be.
Are polar bears even there? Or are they smart enough to stay away?
Yeah, they're a little further north. It's about 110 miles to the Arctic Circle from where I was. So. No polar bears.
I've never lived anywhere particularly remote. So.
Now, we were on this little island in the Atlantic for a few years. It was like 10 miles by 18 miles, the whole island.
Wow.
That was interesting. Spent like 3 years there. It was all right, actually. It was pretty nice.
3 years?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a story.
It wasn't much of a story. I mean, it's just water, Just look out, just water. You can start to understand why, like Columbus or whoever, all these explorers got in these rickety ass little boats after a while and said, "Let's go see what's over there because there is nothing going on here."
Yeah.
Yeah, EL just said travel a lot and bookstores are some of the best places in big airports. I will agree with that, but some of the bookstores they're very samey. I mean, it's a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, I have not seen the hybrid helix yet at an airport bookstore, and I'm upset by it.
What's up with that?
Yeah, I don't think you will, unless I get that inevitable Bollywood adaptation, and maybe I could get back into a book adaptation of the movie and get in backwards that way or something. That's my dream, my unfulfillable dream, but that's okay.
Have you just sent a few copies over to some Bollywood producers in India and just said, "Hey"?
Yeah, I have not. Although I tweeted Ram Charam's picture on a GIF saying he should star in my movie, and it was the most engagement I've ever gotten from a tweet in my entire life. Because it got picked up and retweeted by people in India who are big fans of the movie star, and some of them were taking me seriously and like, he's an important part of our culture. He's not going to do your stupid Hollywood film. I'm like, there's no film. Like, there's no one's tainting your favorite movie star. It was a joke.
There needs to be a sarcasm font. I think we should all agree that Comic Sans is a sarcasm font, and we get to use it for everything.
And Joe, just remember, and that happens again, you can always just have Anitha set them straight, because if there's one thing Anitha can do, it's set people straight.
She is ferocious. Yes, I have seen.
You got to stay on Anitha's good side.
I consider myself warned.
Joe, I think it says something about you that we have 11 people here right now, which is a record for us.
I believe so, yeah.
And they're very obviously not here to see us.
Okay, well, I did everything I could, which was like tweet it 3 times. I don't know. They're not big on sci-fi land. That's fine. That's fine. It can just be a dream I have, and until my final breaths.
Anitha, I think that sci-fi is due in India soon, as the Indian Space Agency is putting rockets up left and right. I think you're catching the leading edge of that wave right now if you do it.
Collins made it. Hey, Collins. He was our first live show.
Really?
Poor guy.
Oh. I don't think
You owe it all to him. Thanks so much.
We'll have to have you on again now that we know what we're doing, at least partially.
So what have you learned in the last few years of doing this writing thing then, Joe? What do you feel better about now?
I mean, I think there's 2 whole sides to it to me. Like, one is, what have I learned about craft, like how to write a better story, and a lot. I think I learned a ton early on, especially. I didn't know any grammar. I don't know how to use I always joke about this, but I was not using an M-dash correctly, right? There's a lot of mechanical stuff that I wasn't good at. And then there's a lot more, advanced stuff in craft. And the other side of it is the business side and the sort of community. Like right now I could publish a book. I know how to work Amazon. I know how to what a click. I know how to buy an ISP. You know what I mean? There's all these things you learn that are sort of rote. It's the same for all of us. We all buy ISBNs the same. Well, everyone in the US buying ISBNs the same way, but I don't have to research that anymore. Like, I have them bookmarked, I buy one, whatever. It's just like, it's a silly example, but
it's a lot of learning curve though, isn't it? Especially with the things like Amazon, because I mean, that's the thing that I think a lot of indie authors I'm going to talk for Mike and me, certainly. We keep pushing that off. It's like, you know what? I'll retire from my job one day and I can spend some time looking at that. Right now, I'm just really trying to get out, 1,000 words a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll tell you, when I published my first book, July 4th was on a Monday, so I had a 3-day weekend. So I finished on July 4th. And I was like, okay, upload to Amazon. And then I called my brother and I doubled the number of people in the world who knew that I had published a book. So that was my my release was I called my, hey, can you see it? He's like, yeah, I bought it. It's like, I have a sale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's better ways to launch than that.
Right.
Colin's got a great question, and I'm going to take that question time. Let Joe answer it. I'm going to.
Uh-oh. What is your personal number one piece of advice for new writer of fiction? Most important thing to focus on early for all three.
I'll give you my number one piece of advice for a new writer of fiction is your first draft will suck.
I second.
I don't care who you are, but you have this idea in your head of the great American novel or whatever, and you write it, it's going to be bad. That doesn't mean you can't write. It means that that's how it works. And if you're lucky, the 12th version of that will be good.
Yeah, you kind of think like, I'm going to sit down and write, and I'm going to put 100,000 words in just the perfect order on the first try. And that doesn't happen.
I really used to think that you would just have to go through, fix up some typos and some missing commas and stuff, and then publish. And it's like, oh no. Number one piece of advice. Most important thing to focus on early on, I have no idea. I don't know what your metric is. Most important thing to focus on early on is what do you want out of writing? If you're looking to just make money, there's a whole procedure to go through, and I can tell you what it is, but it's not doing things the way things Mike and I are doing, not releasing 1 or 2 books a year.
Yep. I'll tell you, my biggest piece of advice is put your work in front of someone who will tell you the truth. Because my first novel, I wrote it the first time. I gave it to several people at work. They all told me it was great, and they lied through their teeth. It was abysmal. There was not a paragraph that didn't have 2 or more tenses in it because I mean, awful. The last one I showed you, the one I put it in a binder because that's classy. That's not like middle grade. So yeah, be willing to take the truth and find someone who will tell you it.
The being willing to accept you got to have a thick skin.
Yeah.
You can't come into this, I'm going to call it a profession.
There we go. That's the first book.
Yeah, you can't do it with thick skin. Daniel D, shark versus space bear, where are they? In the water? If they're in the water, I got to go with a shark, but anywhere else, I got to take the space bear, especially if it has a laser.
Sharks are much larger.
The sharks in my book were, 10,000 tons and 150 meters long. So they're like Godzilla's kaiju size. I put a lot of giant monsters in my books. People like that.
Oh, that's right. Your sharks have legs, don't they?
They have legs like a bulldog.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll have to change my mind to the shark.
Yeah.
So,
your friends will tell you things that aren't necessarily true out of misguided attempts to protect you.
And there's almost nothing more exciting than getting your first Amazon review from someone you don't know.
Yes.
It's like, hey, I don't know who this is, but they liked it. Yay.
Yeah, those are good.
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 sec there, Joe, while we have 12 people here. And just remind those folks, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We are, I know, I beat you to it, Mike.
I have 3 in a row where I remembered to say that. And totally
a few of you have already because we're up to 82. When we get to 100, Mike and I are going to be giving away some books. So tell your friends. And for those of you who have, thank you very much. And those of you who haven't, get on it. Okay. Back to the show.
Okay. Now the burning question.
Check out. The sharks aren't in the first book, so don't get too excited.
Yeah, space bears in the first book, sharks in the second.
Sharks in the second, vampires in the third.
I haven't got to the third yet.
Don't. Yeah.
What's your twist on vampires?
You got to read 3 books to find out.
Good answer. Good answer.
They're not actually, vampires are my favorite villains. They're my ultimate villains in this series, mostly. Because they're apex predators on humans. That's my take on vampirism so far.
All right. So what don't people know about Joe Byrne that they need to know?
Oh, they don't. No one needs to know anything. Please.
What if we need to get you out of jail? What's it going to be for?
Are you asking for my passwords? It seems like a very elaborate identity theft. We'll get people on the podcast. We'll interview them. Your social security number is first 3 digits.
I'll let you know that's more work than I'm willing to do.
Joe, we want to lose money, a lot more money. So this is why we're asking.
All right.
Yeah. What's your first pet's name and what street did you grow up on?
Mother's maiden name.
Are there gangsters, thieves, and murderers in your stories? Not a ton. There are thieves.
But the series is not done yet.
Series isn't done yet. So, yeah.
That's very specific. Gangsters, thieves, and murderers. I mean, it's got 10,000-ton walking sharks, for God's sakes.
So, Joe, I have to tell you, it was a fit of genius you had when you decided to call it A Turn on the Helix. So your series can be as long or as short as you want it to be. You know, stupid me, I'm like, it's a 7-book series, people. But no, you're just like, nope, it's a turn on the helix. It can be as many or as few as I want. That is sheer genius.
Thank you.
Was that something that you did on purpose?
Well, I certainly wasn't giving I wasn't calling book one of 25.
Right.
You're
not Jim Butcher, huh?
That would be but the Jim Butcher doesn't. If you like, I looked at Stormfront, and maybe in recent copies are different, but like early ones, they would not say like number 1 of the Dresden Files.
Yeah,
it said Stormfront, and you had to look it up separately. So,
sorry, I just read Daniel's.
I feel like that has to be for me as a.
Wait, not me?
Yeah, it absolutely has to be for you.
I wash my hair occasionally. You have the energy of a 20-something. No. I compress all my energy. I took a long nap this afternoon.
You say that, but earlier this week, I think it was Wednesday, it was lunchtime at work, and I kind of went, I don't feel like, I just walked out to my car and had a nap for 45 minutes. I came back in and said, that was great. That was like the best lunch I've ever had.
But I try to curl up under my desk at work and take like a cat nap or a power nap. They really frown on that.
That's why you don't do it at your desk. But Anita, you said, didn't life kill that? It's like, come on. It's not that bad being 50 plus. You're still looking forward to, getting the 10% discount at some stores for being a senior. I mean, you're not
right
there yet, but.
Usman's in the house. So just last week I came in, I was walking around like a zombie. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go work from home. And I went home and I took a 2-hour nap. It's glorious. And I got paid to do it. Probably shouldn't be saying this on the internet, but I lack good sense still. I still act like a 20-year-old.
You think so? You think 20?
More mature than that or less mature?
I don't know, man. I don't know if I can give you 20, but all right. Well, whatever keeps you working. I mean, it seems to be working well for you. And despite the fact that, obviously you're not making any real money yet because you're still here with us. And I think when people probably get to that point, they will find other things to do with their time than spend a Friday here.
Did I not tell you Brandon Sanderson's next week?
Oh, you managed to do that, did you?
Yeah, some guy. He lives in Tennessee. His name's Brandon Sanderson.
That actually sounds like a fun episode. It's like, well, guys, like, why am I here?
We should call him just for fun. Because you never know. I mean, the dude made $40 million off a Kickstarter. He might just like, what the hell? Can you imagine what our comment section would look like?
Wow. So, Joe, if I wanted to submit a story for the editor-in-chief of Grim Dwarf magazine to peruse, how does one do this?
There's a just email it to me, jcmberne@gmail.com. There are submission guidelines, and there's a link to it. It's like a Google Doc shared, so people can see it, and it's on like the Patreon.
Yeah,
I'll tweet it if anyone tweets at me. I'll tweet it anytime. So it has all the like descriptions and specifics, and how much I'm going to pay you, which is nothing.
oh,
So that section is short.
you should give percent of the losses.
I have often sold the magazine. I'll give you a full refund if you don't love it.
And it doesn't matter the length of the story, but I mean, generally, what are you looking for, kind of ideally?
Fantasy and sci-fi, I think only, and I'm not really sure I want to go too into erotica, or I don't know. I can't imagine someone submitting erotica, but what do I know? So,
I've never written one of these letters before, but recently I had this thing happen that I had to tell you about. If you're of a certain age, you'll get that. And if you're not, just as well.
So actually, bro, the strangest thing that's happened for me at work, I have another story for you, is a woman was saying she follows a podcast where a woman trolls through Amazon to find the most bizarre things she can. And then she does an hour podcast on it. And she came across the erotic door fantasy called Unhinged.
Stop.
Written from
Think about what you're going to say next before you say it.
From the point of view of the door. It's an actual book on Amazon, and it has over 3,000 reviews. If that doesn't make you feel terrible. So that is the strangest thing that's come up in months at work. So
can we get her on the show?
Well, since I don't know about, the coworker who told me about it, her birthday is February 1st. So I bought the book, and then I was very uncomfortable having it in my house. So I was like, here, you get it early. So I gave. So yes, it's Unhinged by Val Valentine, which I'm sure is not a pen name at all. So if you had faith in humanity, you can just stop, because you can just do that. And Bo.
We all know about Bo's addiction to dinosaur porn. I'm kidding, Bo. I think.
Hey, you
Who
do
had
you.
dinosaur porn on their bingo card tonight? Anybody?
It's a whole genre, man. Monster romance.
People will like anything. You just got to find your audience, and if they're into door POV erotica, that's
I agree with EL.
Okay, so this is
Yeah,
what
EL.
animals are kicking in.
The trick for writing at EL though is you got the little bitty hands all puffed up, so you got to really kind of get creative with that.
So everyone's edibles are kicking in, is what I'm guessing.
That's right. Guess start this show earlier, man.
And that's me after one beer. So,
All right.
Ugh.
All right.
Okay, now that we have assured Joe will never come back.
I can do this every week.
I think you have your next story for Grim Dwarf there, Joe. I think EL's going to hook you up.
All right.
Well, if it's dinosaurs, Bex, it could hurt. All right, we need to stop now.
Yeah, we're going to get in trouble.
All right, so let's remind people again where they can find you.
Buy my books on Amazon. Just look for JCM Berne, Berne, as you can see on the screen. And you can look at my website, jcmberne.com. You can follow my and also how to submit to the Grim Dwarf. Mail to my email address. It's in the chat. Just say Grim Dwarf submission. But if you want the whatchamacallits, the submission guidelines, Easiest way to look is look on the Patreon. There's a free membership. Look at the about. The link should be in there.
What's your Patreon?
I think it's at JCM Berne. It's all the same. Luckily, there's no other JCM Berne in the world to have trademarked any of these things. So I didn't know. Yeah. That sounds right.
All right. Well, yeah, that's what search buttons are for.
Yeah. So in a couple weeks, Joe, we're going to have on 2 writers who have not yet been published, and we're going to suggest dinosaur porn and erotic door.
Let's just make them comfortable while they're here.
Dino door porn. God. Thank you, Bex.
You've got no reason for not writing it now.
There we go.
All right.
So,
well, gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming out, Joe, and
Thank you for having me, Rosaire and Mike.
taking out with us. Erotic green door needs our sliding door. Yeah,
oh boy.
we're losing altitude fast.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Joe, for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We got like 4 or 5 subscribers, so woohoo! I might even have a second beer tonight, and then I'll go to bed.
Sounds good.
Don't overdo it, old man.
So, yeah, thank you, Joe. And we will have to do this again when we can talk seriously for at least a few minutes before it devolves.
Yeah, and let us know when your next book comes out.
Thank you. I will. Appreciate
All right. Everybody who joined us for the hour, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Yep.
And we'll be back next. When are we back next? It's next Thursday, right?
Thursday. Yep. We are with
John Douglas
John A. Douglas. Yes.
on the 11th of January. So it's next Thursday at 7 p.m.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Okay, thanks. Everyone wave awkwardly as I hit the end stream, and then sometime it'll actually end.